Okay, today we are diving into something incredibly intense and, honestly, fascinating. We're looking at a highly specific, high-stakes document, the Strategic Training Manual for Unarmed Campus Security Operatives from Olabisi Onabanjo University in Nigeria. Now, usually, when we think of security, especially in regions facing severe threats like banditry or organized attacks, we immediately picture heavily armed guards, right? But this training manual presents a completely different, intensely psychological approach to safety. It is an absolute masterclass in how to secure an environment using discipline, intelligence, and strategy rather than firepower. It's quite literally a playbook for mind over muscle.
So I want to pose a question directly to you right off the bat. Seriously, think about this for a second. How do you stop an armed attack without a weapon? It sounds like an impossible scenario, but the stakes here are absolute life and death. These campus operatives are facing the very real, terrifying threats of aggressive gunmen and kidnappers, and they are going to work completely unarmed. This explainer is going to show you exactly how they are trained to handle that terrifying reality. And spoiler alert, it requires an incredible amount of mental fortitude.
You know, this completely shatters the Hollywood myth of the combat-ready security guard. An unarmed operative is explicitly told not to engage attackers physically. You're not an action hero. You're not a combat officer. Instead, the reality of these campus operatives is deeply rooted in a nonviolent, highly disciplined approach. Their actual job is prevention. It's triggering early warning systems, coordinating with others, and ultimately protecting lives through smart logistics, not brute force.
To pull that off, they rely on a core four-step mantra, and this is really the foundational bedrock of their entire operation. Step 1, observe. You watch absolutely everything around you, constantly. Step 2, report. You communicate what you see quickly and accurately. Step 3, delay. You find safe ways to slow attackers down without risking yourself. And Step 4, protect. You help people get to safety. This sequence, observe, report, delay, protect, is drilled into these operatives. It's a calculated algorithm for survival that actually overrides the natural human instinct to just fight or freeze. And they absolutely need this algorithm because the threats they face are severe. The manual outlines the specific behaviors of bandits, kidnappers, and gunmen. These aren't just random, chaotic events. Criminals actively study the campus environment before they strike. They are specifically hunting for weak points like gates and hostels. They'll use disguises to blend right in as normal people, and when they do attack, it is sudden, it's aggressive, and it's designed to use fear to control their victims. The speed and violence of these attacks mean early detection isn't just helpful, it is literally the only real defense. Because early detection is everything, the manual frames situational awareness as the operative's very first weapon. You're constantly scanning for specific red flags. Think about it. Strangers moving without a clear purpose. A vehicle that's been parked just a little too long. Someone casually snapping photos of a security checkpoint, or even just a sudden, unusual shift in the crowd's energy. Operatives are taught to divide their areas into zones and meticulously study the normal daily rhythm. That way, the abnormal stands out instantly. And their golden rule is simple but profound. If something feels wrong in your gut, do not ignore it. That situational awareness is most critical right at the perimeter. The manual states clearly that the gate is your absolute strongest control point, noting that many attacks happen specifically because gate security is compromised in some way. But here's the brilliant part. Security isn't just about glancing at a piece of plastic. Operatives are trained to watch human behavior, not just ID cards and hostel passes. Are they acting nervous? Is the vehicle's number plate covered or looking suspicious? You never allow a forced entry, and you never allow anyone to bypass standard procedure no matter who they claim to be. Now, if an operative spots something sketchy at that gate, how do they communicate it? Well, they use this incredible tactical decoder ring of specific code words over the radio. This passes vital, life-saving information quickly without causing a massive public panic. I mean, if you yell gunman, people are going to stampede. But if an operative says code red at main gate, initiate lockdown, the security team knows exactly what to do instantly. I personally find shadow movement fascinating. It's a specific code just for a suspicious person moving quietly. It just really highlights how incredibly nuanced their observation skills need to be.
So the crucial point is what happens when that code red actually becomes a reality. The most vital instruction in the whole manual is what not to do. Do not fight them. Do not argue. Do not act like a hero. That urge to fight back, it can be deadly. Instead, the actual life-saving tactical protocol is to raise the alarm, blow your whistle, take cover behind a solid wall, never out in the open, and guide people safely while observing the attacker's numbers and weapons. It is entirely about managing the crisis, not winning a shootout. This protocol becomes even more specific and definitely more serious in a kidnapping situation. The absolute mandate here is non-confrontation. Confronting kidnappers in the act escalates the danger to the victim exponentially. Instead, the unarmed operative's job is to raise the alarm as quietly as possible, meticulously observe every single detail. We're talking faces, vehicles, direction of travel, and then, crucially, secure the area after the incident to gather witness information for the authorities. Your eyes and your memory are actually the best tools for rescuing that victim later.
And while all of this chaos is happening, the operative still has to manage the surrounding bystanders. During an emergency, a panicked crowd can honestly be just as dangerous as the attackers. Preventing a stampede requires a calm, commanding presence. Operatives are trained to use simple, clear directives. Things like walk, don't run. Follow this direction. Stay low. You have to mirror the exact calm you want the crowd to adopt, knowing exactly where the safe assembly points and exit routes are.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates how they maintain that control without firearms. They use a non-kinetic arsenal. Look at how a simple, everyday whistle is transformed into a highly effective tactical weapon. It's not just making noise, it's communicating a very specific tactical alert. 3 short, sharp blasts, that means danger is present. A continuous, unbroken blast, that tells everyone it is time for an immediate evacuation. 1 long blast is simply to attract attention or issue a command. It cuts through the noise and chaos of a crowd perfectly.
The exact same tactical application goes for the flashlight or torchlight, especially during night shifts. Again, it's just an everyday item used with precision. You shine it at suspicious areas to identify hidden threats. You can flash it repeatedly as a visual warning signal to other operatives or students. And in a worst-case scenario, directing the beam straight into an attacker's eyes can briefly confuse and blind them in the darkness. That buys you and others those precious few seconds needed to delay the threat and escape.
But hey, all the whistles and flashlights in the world mean nothing without the human element. The manual stresses that discipline, intelligence, and teamwork are what actually secure a campus. Operatives have to build relationships with students to gather ground-level intelligence. They must maintain absolute integrity. The manual explicitly warns that accepting bribes or ignoring procedures is a form of corruption that directly leads to security failures. They also have to collaborate with armed forces like the police and civil defense. And they must conduct regular drills, because as the manual wisely points out, fear in these situations is completely normal, but training and drills are what actually control that fear.
All of this training culminates in one powerful reality. Summarized straight from the manual, your intelligence is your strongest weapon. When you don't have a firearm, your mind, your awareness, your ability to remain calm under pressure, and your capacity to communicate, that is your true strength. That is the very essence of being an unarmed operative.
So, let me leave you with this final thought. If a shadow movement, a suspicious person moving quietly, happens near you today, in your own life, will you be ready? Will you have the situational awareness to observe, report, delay, and protect? The tactics used by these brave operatives aren't just for campus security. They're a masterclass in everyday awareness that we can all learn from. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive explainer, and stay safe out there.